I found a ring while cleaning my fiance's house. I don't know if this is something I should be posting, but I can't tell anyone in real life, not yet. The names are changed, obviously, so here goes. I'm supposed to get married next month. His name's Ethan, and he's everything I thought I wanted. Calm, funny, steady. The kind of man who actually listens when you talk, who leaves you notes on the counter when he goes out early. We've been together 3 years, engaged for 1. I thought I knew him inside and out. But last weekend, something happened. Something I can't unsee. We were at his parents' old house, the one he grew up in. It's been empty for years, but he's fixing it up so we can maybe live there someday. It's got that cozy, stuck-in-the-past vibe. Dusty furniture, family photos, the smell of cedar and old carpet. Ethan had gone out to get lunch, and I decided to surprise him by cleaning one of the upstairs rooms. The junk room, he calls it. Boxes, faded curtains, the kind of place you keep stuff you don't want to deal with. I opened a few boxes and found old toys, school notebooks, photo albums. His handwriting was still the same, that careful, too-perfect print. I don't know why, but I started humming while I worked, something my mom used to do when she cleaned. Maybe that's why it hit so hard later. Anyway, I was dusting the top of a tall dresser when something small rolled out from behind a stack of books, a little wooden jewelry box. Pale wood, scratched corners, the kind of thing you'd expect to hold an old watch or keepsakes. It wasn't locked, so I opened it. Inside was a ring. It looked vintage. Gold, thin band, a small diamond set in a delicate floral pattern. It was the kind of ring you'd see in a grandmother's photo or a thrift shop window. I thought maybe it was his mom's or something sentimental. But when I tilted it in the light, I noticed the engraving inside. To M, my forever. That's when my stomach dropped. My mom's name is Margaret. I know, there are a million women named Margaret. It could have been anyone. But still, it didn't feel random. It felt personal. I laughed at first, a weird little nervous laugh that didn't sound like me. I told myself I was overthinking. Still, I slipped the ring onto my finger, and it fit perfectly. That part shouldn't have meant anything, but it did. It felt like the universe was trying to say something I didn't want to hear. When Ethan came back with sandwiches, I showed him the ring. He froze for a split second, blinked, then smiled too quickly. Oh, that old thing? Probably one of my mom's friends' rings. They stored a bunch of random stuff here years ago. He took it from me gently and put it back in the box, closed the lid and said, "We should get rid of this old junk anyway." But his voice was tight. After that, the air in the room changed. I could feel him watching me, waiting to see if I believed him. I nodded, smiled, played it cool. But that night, I couldn't stop thinking about it. My mom never talked about old boyfriends, never even hinted at a big heartbreak. Just said she wasn't the marrying type. I'd always assumed she meant she hadn't found the right guy. The next morning, when Ethan went to Home Depot, I went back upstairs. I found the jewelry box again, and I looked through the old photo albums next to it. That's when I saw it. A picture of Ethan, maybe 10 years old, sitting on a porch swing. He was smiling at someone behind the camera. And next to him, sitting sideways, was a woman with long, dark hair in a messy ponytail. Her face was turned just enough for me to see the outline of her jaw, her smile. My mother. I swear my heart actually stopped. I flipped through the album faster, my hands shaking. There were more photos. Ethan and that same woman at a park, eating ice cream, laughing. One where she had her arm around his shoulders. None of them were labeled, but I didn't need captions. I knew that face. My mom used to tell me stories about babysitting a sweet kid from Maple Lane, how his parents traveled a lot, and she used to look after him when she was in college. She never told me his name. I sat there for a long time just staring at the photos. My chest hurt like I'd been punched. I kept thinking, no, this isn't what it looks like. When Ethan came home, I didn't say anything. I couldn't. How do you even bring that up? Hey, remember that ring I found? Pretty sure it belonged to my mom, your ex-babysitter. That night, I called my mom. I tried to sound casual, told her I'd been cleaning the house, found some old stuff, asked if she ever knew anyone from that neighborhood. She went quiet. Then she said, "Oh, Maple Lane. I haven't heard that name in years." I asked if she remembered the family, the Reeves. Long pause, then softly, "Ethan Reeves?" My throat went dry. "Yeah, that's my fiancé." She didn't say anything for what felt like forever. When she finally spoke, her voice was shaking. "You shouldn't marry him, Jenny." That's all she said. No explanation, no story, just that one sentence. I kept asking what she meant, but she hung up. I sat on my bed staring at my phone, my pulse in my ears. My mom isn't dramatic. She doesn't make cryptic comments. If she says something like that, she means it. That was 2 days ago. Ethan keeps asking if I'm okay. I told him it's wedding stress. But I can't eat, can't sleep, can't stop replaying that moment in my head, the ring, the engraving, my mother's voice. I keep wondering what kind of secret could make her react like that, and why Ethan lied so easily about something that clearly means more than old junk. I don't know what to do yet, but I know this. I'm not marrying him until I know the whole truth. I couldn't stop thinking about what my mom said. You shouldn't marry him. It kept echoing in my head, looping through every quiet moment, brushing my teeth, folding laundry, even standing in line for coffee. The words wouldn't leave. I tried calling her again the next morning, straight to voicemail. I sent a text, "Can we talk? Please." She didn't respond. By the third day, I started to feel like I was living in a fog. Ethan noticed, of course. He kept asking what was wrong, and I kept lying. Just tired. Work's stressful. Wedding stuff. I thought maybe I was being paranoid. So I did what any anxious person does when their brain won't shut up. I decided to get proof. If there was nothing to hide, there'd be nothing to find. That Saturday, Ethan said he had to drive out to meet the caterer. I told him I'd stay home and work on seating charts. The second his car left the driveway, I grabbed my bag and drove to my mom's. She looked surprised when she opened the door, like she didn't expect me to actually come. She was wearing one of Dad's old sweaters, the kind she never throws away, and her hair was messy, like she hadn't slept much either. "Jenny," she said softly, "you shouldn't have come." And that was the moment I knew it was bad. I sat down at her kitchen table, the one covered in old magazines and half-finished crossword puzzles. I just said it. "Why did you tell me not to marry Ethan? And why did I find your initials on an engagement ring in his house?" Her face went pale. For a second, I thought she might lie, make up something, laugh it off. But instead, she just sat down across from me and looked at her hands. "Please, Mom," I said, "I need to know." She took a long, shaky breath. Then she said, "I used to babysit him when I was about 20. His mother was friends with one of my professors. I needed the money, and they needed someone to watch him. He was 12, I think." Sweet, quiet, lonely. I nodded slowly. I already knew that much. But then her voice changed, lower, heavier. "When he got older," she continued, "after his mother died, I stayed in touch. His father, well, he wasn't around much. And Ethan—" She stopped. "He started coming by a lot. I thought he needed someone to talk to." I felt my stomach twist. "Mom, what are you saying?" She looked at me then, tears in her eyes. "I made a mistake. He was 18. I was 26. It wasn't illegal, but it was wrong. I told myself it wasn't serious, that it was just comfort. But it was wrong. I don't remember breathing for a few seconds. Everything went quiet. The refrigerator hum, the sound of traffic outside. All of it vanished under this one awful realization. My mother had been involved with my fiancé. I couldn't even look at her. I just stood up, shaking. "Did you love him?" I asked. She didn't answer. That was enough. I left before she could say anything else. I drove back home without really seeing the road, just gripping the steering wheel until my hands went numb. When I walked in, Ethan was sitting on the couch, scrolling through his phone like nothing in the world was wrong. He smiled when he saw me. "Hey, babe, how was your day?" Something inside me snapped. I dropped my keys on the table. "You knew, didn't you?" His smile faltered. "What are you talking about? You knew my mom," I said. "Not just from when she babysat you. You knew her." He froze. His eyes flicked toward the window, then back to me. For a second, he looked like a kid again, caught, cornered. "Jenny," he said quietly, "please, sit down." "I don't want to sit down," I said. "I want you to tell me the truth." He rubbed his hands over his face. "Yes, I knew her. Years ago. But I didn't know she was your mother when we met. I swear to God I didn't." I laughed, this horrible hollow sound I barely recognized as my own. "And the ring?" He looked away. "The ring was hers," he said finally. "I meant to propose, back then. But she left before I could. I didn't see her again after that." I just stood there. The air felt thick, suffocating. Every happy memory, every laugh, every kiss, every late-night conversation, it all started to rot in my head. Like I was seeing our relationship from the outside for the first time and realizing the whole thing had been built on something. Cursed. He tried to reach for me, but I pulled back. "I can't even look at you right now," I said. "Jen, please," he said, his voice breaking. "I didn't plan this. I didn't know. But once I found out, Once I realized who you were, I thought maybe it meant something. That maybe it was fate bringing everything full circle. Fate. That word made me want to scream. I left the house that night, drove to a motel off the highway, and sat in the parking lot for an hour before I went in. I couldn't stop crying. Not loud sobbing, just this endless stream of tears that wouldn't stop. I texted my mom once. I know everything. I don't forgive you. Not yet. She didn't reply. The next morning, I went home to grab a few things. Ethan wasn't there. I found the jewelry box still sitting on the dresser. I opened it again, stared at the ring, that tiny circle of gold that ruined everything, and then slammed it shut. I put it in my bag without really knowing why. Maybe I just couldn't leave it there waiting for someone else to find it. Now it's sitting in my glove compartment. Every time I drive, I can hear it rattle faintly against the plastic, like it's reminding me it's still there. Like a heartbeat I can't escape. I don't know what I'm supposed to do next. The wedding is in 12 days. My dress is hanging in the closet. Everyone keeps texting about rehearsal dinners and floral arrangements. And me? I'm just sitting here staring at my phone, wondering how many more secrets are waiting to come out, and if I'll even recognize myself when they do. It's strange how fast your life can split in two, the before and the after. Before, I was planning a wedding. After, I was pretending I still wanted one. It's been 9 days since I found out. I've been going through the motions, answering texts from the bridesmaids, tasting cake samples, sending fake smile emojis to my mom's just checking in, messages that I never respond to. I don't even know why I'm still doing it. Maybe because I don't know how to stop. Ethan and I barely talk. When we do, it's clipped, careful, like we're both afraid of setting off a mine. He keeps saying, "We can get past this." But every time he says it, all I can hear is my mother's voice whispering, "You shouldn't marry him." I moved into the guest room a few nights ago. I told him I needed space. He didn't argue, just nodded, his jaw tight. That's what he does when he's trying not to cry. I know that look now. I used to think it was endearing, that quiet, stoic pain he never shared. Now it just feels manipulative, like he's using sadness as a leash. I keep replaying everything I thought I knew about us. The way he looked at me the first time we met, that weird flicker in his eyes that I thought was recognition or attraction. Maybe it was both. The first time I brought him home to meet my mom, how she dropped the wine glass when she saw him, how he froze just long enough for me to notice. I thought it was nerves. Now I know it was something else entirely. Every memory feels contaminated. Yesterday, my maid of honor, Tessa, came over for a dress fitting. She's known me since high school, so she noticed instantly. "You okay?" she asked. "Yeah," I lied. "You're lying," she said, deadpan. "Your voice does that thing when you lie. It goes flat." I almost told her. I almost said, "Hey, funny story, my fiancé used to be in love with my mom and almost proposed to her with the same ring he gave me." But I couldn't. It sounded insane. Instead, I said, "I just don't think I'm ready." And she looked at me like she wanted to ask more but decided not to. "Then don't do it," she said simply. "You don't have to." It was the first time anyone had said that out loud. You don't have to. That night, I got an email from the wedding venue. Final confirmation. Deposit non-refundable. I stared at the total for a long time. It was almost comforting. Something concrete to focus on. Something I could fix or cancel or fight over. Money makes more sense than love. I thought about texting my mom again, about asking her what she thought I should do. But then I remembered the look on her face when she said, "It was wrong." And I knew she'd just tell me to walk away, not because she cared about me, but because she wanted to erase her own guilt. That's the thing about secrets. They rot everyone who touches them. This morning, I found the ring again. I don't even remember putting it in my purse, but it was there, tangled with old receipts and a lipstick I haven't worn in weeks. I held it up to the light, saw the tiny engraving, "To M, my forever." I wanted to throw it, to smash it, to bury it. But I couldn't. It's not even about the metal anymore. It's what it represents. This loop I'm trapped in, the same story replaying itself through generations. My mother wanted to be loved by a boy who saw her as a savior. And I wanted to be loved by a man who saw me as a second chance. I called Ethan this afternoon, told him we needed to talk. He said, "Please don't do this over the phone." So I went home. He was waiting for me in the living room wearing the shirt I bought him for our engagement photos. It felt like a cruel joke. He said, "Jenny, I love you. You know I love you. What happened with your mom? It was a mistake. I was a kid, she was lonely. It doesn't have to mean anything now. I said, it means everything now. He tried to come closer, but I backed away. You kept it from me, I said. You had so many chances to tell me the truth, and you didn't. You let me meet her. You let her watch me fall for you. I didn't know how, he said softly. I thought if I told you, I'd lose you. You already did. The words came out before I could stop them, and as soon as they did, I knew they were true. He nodded slowly, eyes glassy, jaw trembling. Then he whispered, Are you calling it off? I didn't answer right away. I just stood there, feeling every beat of my heart like a hammer in my chest. Then I said, Not yet. He looked confused. I said, I want to hear her side first, all of it. And I left. Now I'm sitting in my car outside my mom's house again. The same house where she told me she made a mistake. The same house where, apparently, everything started. I don't know what I'm going to say when I walk in there. Part of me wants to scream, to demand how she could keep something like this from me. Another part of me wants to crawl into her arms like a child and beg her to make sense of it all. But mostly, I just want the truth, the whole, ugly, human truth, so I can finally decide whether to forgive them or to disappear from both of their lives forever. I used to think wedding mornings were supposed to feel magical, soft light, perfume, laughter, that fizzy kind of excitement that feels like champagne in your veins. Mine felt like a funeral. The mirror didn't look right. I didn't look right. Everyone kept saying, You're glowing. But I think it was just nerves, or panic dressed up as excitement. The makeup artist tried to chat while she worked. You must be so excited. I smiled, nodded, said all the right words. Inside, I kept hearing my mother's voice. You shouldn't marry him. Over and over, like a warning, or maybe a confession. My mom was downstairs when I arrived at the venue. I hadn't spoken to her since that night at her house. She texted me a few times after that. Little things like, I love you, no matter what, and you don't owe anyone your forgiveness. I never replied. When I saw her that morning, standing near the front of the chapel, she looked smaller, older. She smiled when she saw me, but her eyes were red. For a second, I wanted to hug her, to ask if we could just rewind everything, erase every bad decision, every secret, every ring. But the wedding planner was ushering me toward the bridal suite before I could say a word. The ceremony was set up outside. Big white tent, fairy lights, chairs in perfect rows. Everything was beautiful, expensive, almost sacred looking. But all I could think was how wrong it felt. I could smell the roses from my bouquet, the same scent my mom used to wear when I was little. It made my stomach turn. I kept staring at my reflection in the glass door, wondering if anyone else could tell I was about to run. When the music started, everyone stood. I stepped out onto the aisle, the dress heavy and perfect, the kind of thing I used to dream about when I was a kid watching romantic movies with my mom. Ethan was at the altar, smiling that same careful smile, the one that looked rehearsed, polite, practiced, like the kind you give when you've been caught lying but are still trying to look like the good guy. Our eyes met, and for a moment I saw flashes of every version of him I'd loved. The one who stayed up late helping me move furniture, the one who kissed my forehead when I couldn't sleep, the one who said, You're my home. And then, behind all that, I saw him at 18, with her. The world went quiet, my throat closed, I could hear the blood in my ears. My hand went cold around the bouquet. The officiant started speaking, something about love, trust, and destiny. I wanted to laugh. Destiny. That's what Ethan had called it when I found out about my mother. He said, maybe it was fate, a circle completing itself. And now standing there, surrounded by people smiling, clapping, waiting for me to play my part, I realized fate wasn't some romantic force. It was just a loop, a trap, the same story repeating until someone finally broke it. When the officiant said, Do you, Jenny, take Ethan? I froze. My mouth opened, but no sound came out. I felt the whole world leaning toward me, waiting for my yes. And then I said, quietly, almost to myself, I can't. There was a ripple through the crowd, gasps, whispers. Someone dropped something. Ethan blinked, stunned. What? I shook my head. My voice came out steadier this time. I can't. I'm sorry. He took a step forward. Jenny, please. But I backed away. My veil brushed against the flowers, caught on a chair. I could feel everyone's eyes on me, the pity, the confusion, the judgment. I don't even remember how I got to the parking lot. One second, I was surrounded by people, and the next, I was alone in the cold air, my dress dragging through gravel. Someone called my name behind me. Ethan. Maybe, Tessa? I don't know. I didn't turn around. I just kept walking until I reached my car. When I opened the door, the ring box fell out of the glove compartment and hit the floor. That tiny click of wood against metal, it was like punctuation, an ending. I picked it up, turned it over in my hand, and for the first time, I didn't feel anger, just exhaustion. I opened the box, looked at the ring one last time, then set it on the passenger seat. Goodbye, I whispered. To the ring, to Ethan, to the version of myself who wanted so badly to believe in fairy tales. Then I drove. I didn't know where I was going, just away. I ended up at my mom's. She opened the door before I could knock twice, eyes already wet. I didn't even say anything, I just fell into her arms. We both cried, not loud, not dramatic, just this deep, quiet grief that felt older than both of us. She kept saying, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." And I said, "I know." We sat on the couch for a long time, holding hands. At one point she said, "You did the right thing." And for the first time, I believed her. Later that night, I went outside. The air smelled like rain. I held the ring in my hand, then placed it on the porch railing. Not buried, not thrown away, just left behind. Some endings don't need drama. They just need to be final. It's been 3 weeks since the wedding that wasn't. I keep thinking it should feel like failure, like shame, but it doesn't. It feels like breathing again after holding my breath for years. The first few days were strange. I stayed at my mom's house, sleeping in the guest room, the same room where I used to stay during college breaks, surrounded by old books and family photos. I'd wake up disoriented, half expecting to check my phone and find texts about cake deliveries or honeymoon itineraries. Instead, there was just silence, the kind that hurts at first but slowly starts to feel clean. Ethan tried to call, a few times actually. The first voicemail was calm. "Please, let's talk." The second was angry. "You can't just walk away without hearing me out." The third was just silence. I think that one hurt the most. After that, he stopped calling. My mom and I didn't talk about it right away. For a few days, we just existed in the same house like uneasy roommates, passing each other in the kitchen, sharing coffee, asking polite questions like, "Did you sleep okay?" and "Do you want tea?" It wasn't forgiveness yet. It was just space. Then one night, I came downstairs and found her at the kitchen table with a glass of wine, staring at the ring. She must have gone outside and brought it in after I left it on the porch. For a while, neither of us said anything. I just sat down across from her. She looked up and said softly, "I kept this once, hoping it would mean something good someday." I said, "It didn't." She nodded. "No, it didn't." We sat there a long time. Then I asked the question that had been sitting in my chest since the day I found that jewelry box. "Did you love him?" Her eyes filled instantly, but she didn't look away. "I thought I did," she said. "But it wasn't love. It was loneliness. I was young, and he made me feel needed. When you're that age, you mistake need for love all the time." I nodded, but I didn't really know how to respond. I was angry, but not in the way I expected. It wasn't the sharp, explosive anger anymore. It was something heavier, like sadness with teeth. She reached across the table and took my hand. "Jenny," she said, "I never wanted this secret to touch you. I wanted you to have a clean life, one without my mistakes in it." I looked at her, and for the first time I saw her not as my mother, but as a person, flawed, scared, trying her best. "I think that's the problem," I said. "You tried to protect me from the truth instead of teaching me how to face it." She nodded slowly. "You're right." Then she started crying. Quietly, the way I do, no sobbing, just tears she didn't even bother to wipe away. I moved closer and put my hand on her shoulder. For a while, we just sat like that, two women linked by the same wound, finally letting it breathe. The next morning, I went back to Ethan's childhood home one last time. It was empty now, the furniture covered, boxes stacked against the walls. Dust floated in the air like tiny ghosts. I walked through the rooms, touching the door frames, the old banister, the wallpaper with little faded stars. Everything smelled like memory, that strange mix of paper, wood, and time. When I reached the dresser where I'd first found the jewelry box, I placed the ring inside again, closed the lid gently. I whispered, "It's yours. Keep it." Then I walked out and locked the door behind me. It wasn't about forgiveness, not really. It was about letting go of the version of my life that could never be real. Now, when people ask what happened, the wedding planner, the coworkers, the distant relatives, I just say it wasn't the right time. It's not a lie exactly, just not the whole truth. The real story lives here, in these quiet moments no one else will ever see. Sometimes I think about Ethan, not the man I almost married, but the boy in those old photos with my mom, the lonely kid who wanted someone to love him enough to stay. I feel sorry for him. I also feel sorry for her. But mostly, I feel free. I'm learning that freedom doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes it's just the sound of a door closing softly behind you. Last night, my mom and I sat on the porch again. It was warm, the air thick with the smell of rain and lilac. She looked over and said, "You know, when I was your age, I thought love was supposed to fix everything." I laughed a little. I thought that too. We sat in silence for a while, then I said, "Maybe love's not supposed to fix us. Maybe it's supposed to show us where we're broken." She smiled, tired but genuine. Maybe. When I went inside later, I caught a glimpse of my reflection in the hallway mirror. No veil, no makeup, no ring. Just me. And for the first time in a long, long time, that was enough.